State University and received a BS degree in animal science. While at Iowa State, he was a member of the 1992 National Champion Livestock Judging Team and was also a member of the ISU Meat Judging Team. He attended Michigan State University and received a master's degree in animal breeding and genetics. Dwight has worked for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension as a county extension agent in agriculture in Gonzales County, the largest cow-calf county in Texas since 1999. He has judged livestock shows in 13 states and 1 Canadian province. He has served as a beef cattle official at the Collegiate Livestock Judging Contest at the National Western Stock Show in Denver, Colorado, State Fair of Texas in Dallas, San Antonio Stock Show, Houston Stock Show, and at the North American International Livestock Exposition National Champion Livestock Judging Contest in Louisville, Kentucky. Dwight currently lives in Coast, Texas, with his wife Suzanne and children Sabay and Augustus, where they operate an intensely managed herd of Hereford and Angus cattle. Also, he is a member of the Foundation Angus Alliance, a marketing cooperative that sells over 200 head of Angus cattle annually through their production sale each spring in Luling. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Dwight Sexton. Our first class today, American Halter Heifer. Class 1 is entry 108, Addison Phillips, entry 28, Addison Seifert, and entry 64, Lucy Stanford.
Well, what a pleasure it is to come and evaluate your heifer show this afternoon at the Leon County Show. And we start off with a nice group of American heifers. I think the heifer that I used to start the class just has the most power in terms of the shape that she has into her forehead. I like the body that she has, and you study her. She's wide based underneath, and yet complements that and then clean up through her front end and moves out on a long stride. The lighter colored heifer that comes second in class is deeper bodied. She's bigger boned and probably a little sounder through her shoulder than what we see in our class winner. I read her getting flatter as you study her through her forehead. I like to just widen that heifer up and make her stronger down her top line. The Senator Trudy heifer that comes third in class, I really like this heifer's long neck and front end. She's a heifer that balances nicely from the side. I read her getting a little straighter through her shoulder, a little went into her hop as we set her in motion, but a heifer that once she relaxes and matures a little more down the road, I think she'll be competitive as well. So congratulations on a nice start to our heifer show. You appreciate the depth of side that she has. She's a smooth-shouldered, nice profiling heifer that has lots of body and mass to her. We appreciate that about her quite a bit. So we look forward to getting her back out here with the other stock shortly. that she has and the mask that she shows us. I think a really good heifer to lead off the class. The heifer that comes in second is another big bone female that I like that about her. She compares second to third. I think our second place heifer is stouter. I think she's bolder through her forehead and yet does that by being cleaner through her chest. And I think just a little leaner in her condition as we come into this brainless heifer that comes third. Here's a nice balanced, sound, structured female. She's probably as flexible as any of these heifers in the class, yet she gets a little deeper through her chest and just doesn't have the strength in her top line or the shape into her forehead as we compare to the two heifers that precede her in class. So congratulations, really competitive trio of females in that fall class. differences amongst these two heifers that lead off the class. The heifer that achieved place first, I read as being deeper through her forerib and flank. I think she's just bolder in her forerib. As you study her, I really like her balance, the extension of chest, her neck and front end, and yet it blends neater through her shoulder. The gray Brahman heifer that comes second in class is longer bodied than what we see in our class winner, and I appreciate that about her. She's a female that is extended, still good from the profile. She's not as level down her top line as our class winner. She's not as big boned as our class winner or deep in her flank, but I think still quality stock to go first and second in this class to make that competitive. The red heifer that comes third in class, I really love the bold rib shape that we see in her. She's wide down her top and as muscular as any heifer that we've got in this class. Unfortunately, with that muscularity, she gets more restricted in her structure. She's shorter off of both ends and just doesn't have the flexibility as we set her in motion as we compare her to that top pair of cattle. The center gratuitous heifer that comes next in class is one that I like her length of neck. I like the depth of body in this heifer. Just like the heifer in front of her, we need to loosen her up as we set her in motion, change her some out of her hips and off of her hind leg to make her more competitive in the group. But really competitive pair out on the top end. Congratulations to all four of these exhibitors.
The results of Class 4, first place, Kimber Adams. Second place, Mackenzie Willard. Third place, Hayden Ingleteed. And fourth place, Raylan Harris. Our next class, Class 5, is Sean Henry, Larry Petit, Bentley Petit, and Eli Petit. All first place winners in each class make your way back up to the show ring. A bucket donated by Stanley Feed. You'll go to all first place winners in each class.
another competitive group. Congratulations on bringing lots of quality here. The heifer that I lead off with just has, in my opinion, the better combination of volume and structural correctness, and yet balance as we study this red female that just looks so good from the side, the mass that she has, and yet doesn't feel by being clean up to her front end and neck area as we compare to the two females that follow behind her in the lineup, three females behind her in the lineup. As we get into the Brahman females, the heifer that comes second is bolder, she's stouter, she's bigger boned as we compare to the two heifers behind her. I like the added length that we see in her and just the stoutness and mass of this particular female. She's not as good down low in her pastern as what we see in this heifer that comes in third. Here's a leaner conditioned heifer than what we see in the two in front of her, but with that she gets a little shallower in her body. She doesn't handle her hip quite as nicely, or the angle to her haunch as well as what we see on the two heifers that precede her in class. Young lady heifer that comes next in the group, again, is wide based, and I appreciate that about her. I like her length of neck that we see in this gray female. I really get a little finer structured, just a little shallower body than what we see in the other options that precede her in class. So good competitive four females. Congratulations to all those exhibitors on a job well done.
Okay, the results of Class 5, first place, Sean Henry. Second place, Bentley Petit. Third place, Eli Petit. And fourth place, Laramie Petit. Okay, now we need all first place winners. We need Addison Seifert in Class 1, Kimber Adam and Addison Phillips, Class 2, Kimber Adams, Class 3, Kimber Adams, Class 4, and Sean Henry, Class 5. Come to the ring. All second place, be on standby. Class 1, second place was Lucy Stanford. There was no second place in Class 2. Class 3 was Sean Henry. Class 4 was Mackenzie Willard. And Class 5 was Bentley Petit.
these classes as we came out here for our American division. What a very, very attractive set of females with lots of quality to come out here. We started off our first class with a female that's angular and attractive, and yet so good from the profile, and with lots of quality started off our show. Our first class winner is one that I'd like to probably level her out some out of her hip to make her more competitive down the road with this route. The Senator Treatise Heifer that was a single entry out of our second class. Lots of depth and stoutness to her, still attractive out through her neck and front end. You can see she gets a little straighter through her hock, and again, relative to some other options out here, not as wide based as what we see with some other options as well. Out of class 3 comes one of the quality heifers that we've seen so far, attractive and deep and so good in her lines, still feminine and extended out to her neck and front third. Lots of quality in that particular female. One that's similar in terms of her balance comes out of our fourth class, another smooth-shouldered, long neck, clean-fronted heifer that doesn't have the mass that we see on the heifers on either side of her, but still good stock with lots of quality. The Senator Treatise heifer that comes out of our last class, tremendously big volume. She's a female that's level out of her hip. She profiles well, still broody in her kind, not as lean as we see in these cattle in front of her that are younger, but I think still lots of quality there in that Senator Treatise female. I'd like to have her out of class 3 to be our champion. We'll wait a moment and bring in our second place before we select our reserve.
Out of class 3, second place is Sean Penry.
The second place that we bring in that was second to our champion, this red female is one that is sound and yet still attractive. I like her freshness. If you compare her back to the older heifer, I think she still has more balance and cleanliness out through her front end. I think she handles her hind leg a little nicer. I'm going to follow with the second place heifer to be reserved. Congratulations.
The champion American heifer goes to Kimber Adams, and she came out of class 3. And our reserve goes to Sean Penry, also out of class 3. ready to start our British Heifer classes. Class 1 will be
Division is one that is really attractive from the side. I like her extension out through her front end. She's level and long down her hip, and yet stout boned and wide structured as you study her underneath. So congratulations on a nice single entry. We look forward to bringing her back with more competition.
a first class. And Class 1 is Carly Coker. Now we're ready for Class 2. Carly Coker, Cottonwood, and Edie King.
second British class, and I'd like the Hereford heifer to lead off with. I think you just sound her off of her front end is where I'll start on her. I think her neck sets in a little higher into her shoulder. I read her as being a heavier bone female that's longer down her top line. I like her base width and stoutness that she has. I'd like to give her the depth of flank and body that we see in the Angus heifer that comes second. But I think structurally our class winner has the advantage in this particular group. The Angus heifer, as I described, is great out of her hip. I like the base width and turn and shape that she has to her rib. I like the depth of body that she possesses. I read her getting straighter through her shoulder and out of her hock, and we just don't see the flexibility in her that we need as what we have on the catalog, really on either side of her. The young lady's Hereford heifer that comes third in class, another female that I like the depth of body on. This heifer doesn't balance up as well. She gets a little deeper and plainer through her chest, along with still being a little straighter than ideal through her shoulder and front end. Just like to loosen her up as we set her about the ring. So congratulations on a nice competitive group of trio of females.
Okay, the results of Class 2 British Halter heifers. First place, Cottonwood, Centerville 4-8. Second place, Edie King, Leon 4-8. Third place, Carly Coker, Leon 4-8. Now we're ready for Class 3. We've got Miley and Brisky and Kimber Adams.
We come into our third class of the British females with a really stout quality Hereford heifer that's sound as you set her in motion. I like the depth of body that she has, and that she's still long and extended out of her hip and comes down on lots of substance of bone. We set that female in motion. Maybe a little tighter up through her chest would be ideal on her, but I think a female that from a functionality standpoint is pretty dominant in this class. The Angus heifer that comes second, I like her flexibility as we set her in motion. Here's a female that just gets finer structured, not as robust as what we see in our class winner. Congratulations on a nice competitive pair.
Okay, the results of Class 3, first place, Kimber Adams. Second place, Molly and Brisky. When you're ready for Class 4, one entry, Edie King. All first place winners In the British division, please make your way to the show ring. It's going to be Carly Coker, Cotton Wood, Kimber Adams.
Nice quality Angus heifer that this young lady leads out. They're so good from a profile, long and level down her top line, and yet wide constructed and powerful in her build. Female with lots of bootiness and mass to her. She's one I'd like to just lay her back some into her shoulder and just give her more flexibility off of her front end. But a female with lots of quality and good to her. Congratulations on a fine Angus heifer.
Okay, our Class 4, first place, Edie King. We'll be bringing back from Class 1, Carly Coker, Class 2, Edie King, Class 3, Kimber Adams, and Class 4, Edie King. Again, our English division belt buckle is sponsored by Timperman Chiropractic. Our reserve award is a poetry bag, and it is sponsored by the Leon County Livestock Show.
in our British Drive for quality heifers. I like the female that comes out of our first class for her extension. The length that she shows us, she's still clean and trim in her pattern, and from a condition standpoint is as lean as what we see on any of these females. With that, she gets a little tighter through her flank. She doesn't balance as nicely as we see in some of these more mature options that follow her in the lineup. Out of Class 2 comes a level hip, good structured female that is long down her top line and extended out through her front third. A female that, if you compare to the two older females, doesn't get quite as deep body, doesn't have quite as much mass, along with the maturity that we see in these older females. Class 3 is one of the stout-boned ones of the group. I like her depth of body and leveliness. The hip that we see in our Class 3 winner, she gets a little flatter than ideal through her forehead. I'd like to tuck her up some in her chest, but I think as we study her mobility and motion, I think she's a female that you gravitate to in this drive. The Angus female is one that's stout and powerful and feels good in terms of her balance from the side. I like her extension and upheadedness that we see in that particular female. We set her motion, her front end structure becomes more of an issue on that heifer, but without question, wide and quality in her lines and is awfully good as well. I'm hoping to use our Class 3 heifer to be my champion in this drive. Congratulations. That comes out of our last class, she'll follow and be reserved. Congratulations.
Okay, for our British Division, champion is Kimber Adams. Reserve is Edie King. Okay, now we're ready to start our exotic halter heifer Class 1.
You come into our exotic drive, exotic class division, an intriguing group of females with lots of quality in all three of them. And the Charlie Heifer that I lead off with, I think, is just a combination of being sound enough and yet good enough in their design and balance, in base width and soundness that she needs to lead off the class. I like her in her top line as you compare to the two females that follow her. I think she's just a little neater to her shoulder and back into her forehead, leads a little truer. The black heifer that comes in second, I like her boldness, her rib, the soundness that she has. She's a female that I like her length at front end. She gets a little easier in her top line and doesn't have as much boldness to her forehead as what we see in the heifer that leads off the class. Then the young man heifer that comes third in class. His long body, the any of these, is really extended out to her neck and front end. In top line, this heifer, as we set her in motion, she wants to roach up some in the loin, and yet duck her pin, just doesn't track as smooth and easy as what we need her to set her in motion. So good, competitive females, lots of good pieces in all three of them. Congratulations.
Results of Class 1 Exotic Halter Heifers. First place, Cooper Haywood. Second place, Edie King. Third place, Nickel Old. We're now ready for Class 2. It'll be Heidi Cyprick, Sophie Haywood, and Cadence Sloan. Class 3, make your way to the ring. Boston Barlow and Nickel Old.
heifer leads off this class that just combines the females behind her. She's the bold-ribbed, stout-featured female that is attractive in her design. I really like the balance that she has, and yet from a mass standpoint, she's the wide constructed heifer of the group as well. A muscular heifer comes second. It's big boned and yet still shapely in her kind. The heifer in second, just her neck sits in a little lower than what we see in our class winner. She's just not as attractive out to the front third as we see in the Charlotte female. In third comes another long-bodied female that just is very extended and long out through her neck. Here's the heifer that if you set her in motion, she wants to roach up in her top. This female just doesn't handle her hind legs as easily as what we see in those two heifers in front of her if you set her in motion. But lots of quality, lots of good in all three of these heifers. Congratulations.
Results of Class 2 Exotic Heifers. First place, Sophie Haywood. Second place, Heidi Seifert. And third place, Hayden Cologne. And now finishing up our exotic will be Class 3, Boston Barrio, Mitchell Oak. We need our first place out of Class 1, Cooper Haywood, and first place out of Class 2, Sophie Haywood, to make your way back to the showroom.
The black heifer that I lead off with, she's one that is robust in her ribs, she's wide, she's attractive and yet so good in her design, and you study her from the profile, we set her in motion and she's plenty fluid and flexible in her movement as well. This is a good Charlotte heifer as well, no doubt about that. She's not as attractive in her presentation. Here's a long-bodied, sound-structured female that's bold-ribbed and still attractive out through her neck and front end. She's not as complete in her kind as what we see on that class winner, but lots of good in both of these females. Congratulations.
Okay, results of Class 3 Exotic Halter Heifers. First place, Boston Barrio. Second place, Nickel Old. We are going to now need Class 1 winner. First place, Cooper Haywood, to come back to the show ring. Class 2, Sophie Haywood. And Class 3, Boston Barrio. This will be the division drive for exotic heifers.
quality is extreme out here. As we get our class winners out here and view them, I think you can see there's lots of good in all three of these females. I really like this heifer out of our first class. Her balance is exceptional. I really like the set that she has to her hind leg, the width that she possesses, the smoothness that she has as she transitions to her rib up into her shoulder, her neck and front end is really, really nice. She's a little straighter than she needs to be off of her front end. She especially gets more erect down into her pasterns off her front, but a female with lots of quality and lots of good to make down the road. A good female comes out of our second class as well, one that's got a little more swoop to her belly. The depth that she has is a little more than what we see in the heifer out of the first class. Here's a female that, again, is exceptional from the side, great in her balance. She's a female as you study her in motion. Again, she gets more erect off of both ends than ideal, and so we certainly need to adjust her son from that standpoint, but so good in terms of her balance and look, female that's really, really nice. The flexible and mobile heifer comes in the black heifer that comes out of our third class. Huge ribs, great in her lines and profile, very nicely presented, yet feminine in her look and lots of quality. She looks like a cow and moves like a green out here in the class in the drive. So we're going to have our senior heifer be our champion out here. Congratulations. Our Class 3 second place heifer, I like her extension. I think she is sounder structured than we see in the two heifers that are in front of her. As you get off and steady her balance, so I just don't read quite as much quality as what we have in some other options out here. I think our second best heifer comes out of our second class. We're going to follow with her for reserve. Congratulations.
And our exotic division champion is Boston Barrio, and reserve is Sophie Haywood. We're now going to be bringing back in our division champions, American division, Kimber Adams, British division, Kimber Adams, and exotic division, Boston Barrio. Our reserve division cats need to be on standby. Our American second reserve was Sean Penry. On our British, it was Edie King. And on our exotic was Sophie Haywood. We are
long and extended out to her neck and front end. The female's just worlds are good from the side. If we set her in motion, she's a little shorter than what we see in some other options, and her stride off her hind leg, she gets a little flatter than ideal from the three-quarter angle from behind. But a female that's just so deep and bold and stout, and yet still flattened through her shoulder and refined and feminine out through her front end. I like her an extreme amount. The Hereford heifer that came out of our British division, huge bone and deep, a female that's long and level out of her hip. You study her, she gets a little plainer through her chest, she gets a little flatter through her forehead, and we see on the cattle on either side of her, but just a huge bone, productive looking female with lots of quality to her. The black heifer that comes out of our exotic division, a female that again does so many things well. She's wide, she's bold, she's attractive, she's refined, she's mobile as we set her about the ring. I think a female with lots of good and quality to her as well. That was a fun one to see come through that division. But lots of good cattle in our reserves as well. I think in my mind the most complete female that we've got comes out of our exotic division. She's going to be our champion. We'll follow with the American heifer for reserve. Congratulations to both these young ladies on good quality cattle.
Okay, out of our exotic division will be Boston Berrio as our champion. And out of our American division will be Kimber Adams. Let's give all these kids a round of applause. They have worked hard today. We will be starting showmanship. We will start with seniors first. That is 9th through 12th grade. Then we will follow up with intermediate, and that will be 6th through 8th grade. Then we'll go to juniors, 3rd through 5th grade, and then we will have the Pee-wee. So if you haven't signed up for the Pee-wee showmanship, please come up to the announcer stand.
senior division is really competitive. And so again, congratulations. When we get to this level of maturity, you're supposed to be good. You're supposed to have some experience, and it shows when you get out here. In my mind, I always try to explain showmanship as doing, it's basic, but it's a combination of doing the basic things really, really well. And you can have a little different style, if you will. You can have a little different look. You can be a little more aggressive, a little less aggressive in my mind, as long as you still get those basics done. Okay? I want you to be relaxed. I want you to have a good time out here. But I get we've all got a different level of the way we're wired for competitiveness. But I want to make sure that your animal is getting shown to the best of its ability, and that's your job and your role. Your heads have got to be up on these cattle. The way we're selecting cattle for longer necks and longer front ends, that's extremely important for you as a showman to be able to get that done. Never should the muzzle of your animal be below the top line of your animal. That's basic. That's number one. When we get out here on the profile, getting the feet and legs placed so that the hind legs are staggered is important. Why is that important? Through my eyes as the judge, I'm evaluating the structural correctness of your animal. The faster that you get it set up, the quicker you're going to give me, the judge, the best look of your animal. When we have the hind legs staggered so the leg that's the closest to the judge is set back further, that's going to level the hips on these cattle as well. Again, through my eyes, that shows that you're doing a better job getting your animal shown. Once you get the head up, the feet and legs placed, then that's the time if your top line needs adjusted, that's the time to get the top line adjusted so that we have a long, level back on these cattle. Again, through the judge's eyes, that becomes important to give the best look of your animal at all times. And so doing that the quickest of anybody out here so that the judge always gets a very quality look of your animal is going to be to your benefit. And so that's something that again is basic. It's not extreme, but it takes practice at the house, practice at the barn to get that done so that you know what the best look of your animal is. So that you know if your front feet are set properly or if your hind feet need to come back further so that your animal doesn't look like it's camped under itself, or the animal looks balanced and quality. So again, some of that stuff has to happen at the house, has to happen before you ever get to the show. So that once you get out here for your 10 minutes of showing or 30 minutes of showing, if you're at a major, then you're able to be more competitive when we get out there. Today I'm able to give a champion and a reserve. We're able to give 2 awards. I think the young lady that's done the best job has the Brahman Heifer in front of me. Reserve is going to be the young lady with the Hereford Heifer. Congratulations to both of you on a job well done.
Okay, our champion senior showman, if y'all stay in the ring for just a moment, Mr. Barrett's going to speak. That's Mackenzie Willard is our champion, and Cottonwood is reserve, right?
Before everybody gets out of the ring real quick, we got 2 graduating seniors this year that have been showing heifers here for a long time. Hardy Coulter and Nick Willard. They're both seniors this year. They've been with us a long time showing heifers. So if everyone please give them a round of applause for graduating this year and going on to bigger, better things. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now be doing intermediate showmanship, and it's going to be 6th through 8th grade. Junior showman, 3rd through 5th grade. Make your way up to the show ring.
Again, as we described in our senior division, the showmanship contest comes down to doing the basics, doing them well, making sure that we've got the heads up on these cattle so that the muzzle, the nose of your animal never falls below the top line of the animal. That's going to be really important because from a judge, through the judge's eyes, he's evaluating your animal as quickly as we can. The bigger the show, the faster he's trying to evaluate your livestock to see the good and the not good in his eyes of what each of these animals have and possess. And so it's going to be important that you do that, making sure that we've got the feet and legs properly placed on these animals. When we get them out on the profile like this, we want to see that the hind legs are staggered, so the leg that's the closest to me is set further back. That levels the hips on these cattle. It helps their top lines look straighter. It helps their hind legs look more correctly set as well. And so again, through the judge's eyes, those things become very important. The faster that you can get your animal set up, it's going to be important because I'm trying to find the good and the bad and the ugly on your animal as quickly as I can, so that in my mind, I'm making the best decision of your animal that you're able to show me. And so as we put all that together, you can be a little more aggressive, you can be a little more relaxed. The main thing is you get your animal shown at all times to the judge, that he's able to get the look on your animal at all times, because that's going to be so very important. As we, in this class, we get to pick two. We pick a champion in reserve. Our champion is going to be the young lady with the gray heifer, and the reserve is going to be the young man with the Brahman heifer. Congratulations.
Okay, our showmanship intermediate division champion is Kimber Adams, and reserve is Hayden Engelke.
and in my mind, I've got them evaluated to know who I want to use for champion and reserve. You know, if we talked in the two older divisions about getting your animal shown to the best of your ability so that the judge is always able to get the best look on your animal. That's so important as we come out here and evaluate these. Of course, when we get into this junior division, the physics change because the calves stay the same size, but the kids get smaller. So safety becomes important. Being able to have control of your animal becomes important. And so much of that work has to happen before you ever get to the show, so that once you get here, you're able to enjoy the experience so much more. It's important to keep the heads up on these cattle, to keep the feet and legs properly placed, to be in line when we're supposed to be in line, and to be relaxed and aggressive out here at the same time showing your animals. In my mind, we've got three exhibitors that do a great job. The young lady with our champion heifer is going to be a champion junior showman. The young lady with the Brahmin is going to be a reserve in the showmanship division. Congratulations to all three of these exhibitors for being very competitive out here.
Okay, our junior showmanship champion is Boston Barrio. Reserve is Laramie Petit. We'll now be starting with our Pee-wee showmanship. Our entries are Violet King, 6 years old from Marquette. Colt Willis, 6 years old from Marquette. Katie Adams, 6 years old from Leona. Cash Powers is 7 from Marquette. Corbin Petit is 7 from Oakwood. Cameron Daugherty is 7 from Oakwood. Stratton DeLeon is 5 from Hilltop Lake. And Briggs Lipsy 5 from Oakwood.
Okay, we had a great show today, and we had a really competitive showmanship contest. And then we get to this class, and then the heat gets turned up a little bit more, because these kids are having fun, they're working hard out here, and they're learning, which is what the whole purpose of this project is. If you would, go ahead and put your hands together and congratulate these Pee-wee showmen that we've got out here. This project teaches kids lots of life lessons, and so many of those lessons are not taught in this room, they're taught at home in this year-long project that it takes to get the cattle ready to show at this show. It takes multiple years to get the kids competitive so that they're able to shine, if you will, to elevate their game so that they're able to take these cattle projects and be competitive later on. And so this Pee-wee project is starting these kids young with guidance from the parents, from the other exhibitors that are here. Again, that's the whole purpose of this project. And so congratulations for having this class and making it such a fun event for the kids. They tell me I get to give 2 awards. Young lady with the Brahman Heifer, you're going to get the first place award. Young lady with the Hereford Heifer, you're going to get the reserve award. Congratulations to all of our Pee-wee exhibitors, and hope to see you all out here again very, very soon.
Okay, our champion of Pee-wee Halter Heifer showmanship is Corbin Petit, and reserve is Katie Adams.